Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm speaking to Natasha Kinsella. She's someone I've met before a few times, and I'm very excited to have her on today to have a chat about her very interesting retreat business that I've been involved with in different ways. How are you, Natasha?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks a million. Thanks, and thanks for having me on, Eileen.
No problem. It's great. It's great to have a chat with you. It's been a while. Do you want to give a little quick intro for people that might not know you about what you do, just like a sentence or two?
Yeah, sure. I'm formally I'm a transpersonal therapist. Um, but I'm also a teacher, a holistic teacher. And I suppose the reason I'm here in this lifetime is to help others reclaim their true power, their true essence, and whether that's through a shamanic counseling session, or whether it's through a healing session, a Rahanni healing session, or whether it's through attending one of my retreats, um, the outcome is almost always the same, which is helping somebody to feel empowered by the time they're leaving, so that's basically what
So
I do.
that sounds easy. It sounds simple.
I can assure you
Um,
it's not.
no, I agree. Um, what prompted you to decide to become a healer? Like, where in your journey did you think, oh yes, I'm going to, you were like the choice when you were 5 years old, you could be a doctor or an astronaut or a cowboy or a princess, and um I guess you chose none of those or all of
Yes.
them.
And I didn't choose to be a healer either. That's something that kind of I hadn't got much of a choice in. Well, I mean, we always have a
Hmm.
choice, but from the age of five, 4 or 5, I have been seeing spirit, but was always afraid of it. And with my parents and school and the elders around me, they would say, oh, you're only imagining it, and maybe you seen something else, or maybe you just thought you seen it. And I would be like, no, I definitely seen it. But after many years went by, I was led to believe that it was in my imagination, that it was something that maybe I was dreaming, or something that maybe I was making up in my head as a child. So I kind of shut it down. And then when I was in my late teens, it started happening again. But this time I knew what I was seeing was real.
Hmm.
And it scared the living daylights out of me, I have to say. And same thing again, I shut it down. And then about 10 years after, about 15 years after that, um, I came across somebody who had um, like an entity attached to them. And I started to pick up working with the archangels at that time. Sorry, the sun.
Hmm. That's okay.
Wonder is a coincidence now, the sun shining bright,
Not at all. What is not a
blinding me as I
just
talk
a
about the
coincidence.
rays of healing. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it scared the living daylights out of me, and then it wasn't until about 10 years ago, um,
Mm.
I ended up with depression, and
Mm.
I made a decision that that was not going to be my life. Whatever else happened, I was not going to live a life of um, just feeling dead inside, and feeling like I'd no motivation, and suicidal and all that kind of stuff. Um,
Mm.
and I knew that I wasn't brought to this earth in this lifetime, in this incarnation, to live that life. I knew there was more in me, even though I was working in the corporate world at the time. So I kept saying, show me what I need to do, just show me what I need to do. How can I rise from this? And I kept hearing, go back to your roots, just go back to your roots. So I
Mm.
was like, okay, roots a tree. So I started spending tons and tons of time around forests. I would just go off for the day and just walk forests and lovely parks, and spent just completely submerged myself in nature. And lo and behold, things start happening. And shortly after that, then I got into Reiki, and yeah,
Hmm.
the rest is history. I eventually became a Reiki teacher, and then um, shamanism started calling me, and I'd be doing a Reiki session on somebody, and this wolf would come into the room, and I'd be like, "What's this all about?" And I remember looking up. I kept hearing the word shamanism, shamanism. I remember looking up what is shamanism, and same thing again, scared the living daylights out of me, and I'm like, no, no. But obviously, I did go on to do the studying, and became a shamanic practitioner, shamanic counsellor, and transpersonal therapist. So yeah, so that's what got me on the journey anyway.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one. It kind of showed up straight away for you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then yeah, and just the lack of understanding um of the people around you
yeah.
made it just yeah, it just
I
made a
mean, they
bigger
were just
journey of
trying to
it.
protect me, because
Mm,
obviously they were not familiar with seeing spirit, or else they were familiar, and they didn't want me getting caught up in it.
hmm.
But I know that it was shut down just purely just to protect me, and as a child to protect me, so that I wouldn't be afraid. Um,
Mm,
but as I said, even when I was in my late teens, then, and it started to open up again, and the fear came up again. So it kept knocking, and I kept saying no.
yeah.
So it was if then,
Yeah.
when the depression came, that big black dog, as it's sometimes referred to, when he came
Mm,
along, it was like, look, you can keep spiraling down and down and down into the darkness, or you can rise. And
mm.
thankfully, I chose the latter.
Very thankfully, yeah.
Mm.
I love you have a tattoo right here on your chest, don't you?
Yes,
Of a
the heart chakra.
heart. Yeah, yeah. It's just that when you walk in and when you walk into the room and someone takes you in, that always shows up. It's so nice. It even shows up in my head. Like right now, it just showed up in my head. Like I can't
Oh,
see
thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Great.
Um, what I wanted to like, so we were talking. Sorry, I that was a tangent. You were talking about entities, and um, have you noticed kind of a change in the culture around entities since you were younger or since your teenage years, or how do
Yeah,
you?
um I definitely think since COVID happened, people are more open to energy.
Hmm.
More people are working with their own energy bodies, the likes of even yoga, meditation, forest bathing, retreats in the forest. Um, so I do think people are starting to open up um,
Mm,
to the information. However, I do still think there's an awful lot of fear there. Um,
mm,
and I mean, the light will always outshine the darkness. I mean, I know that now, but I didn't know that a long time
yeah.
ago. But um,
Mm,
it's definitely it's a conversation that is off that would be a lot more spoken about nowadays than it would have been all those years ago.
mm. And is it so in your practice is the entity stuff the most popular thing that you work on, or is there other elements like that you work on with people, energy stuff, or
Most of my work would be people working on their own energy.
mm,
Now I would from time to time have people coming in thinking that, well, not thinking, but knowing, having a sense of knowing that they had something attached to them. Um, I
mm,
remember actually one lady coming to me a few months ago, and she had been in Galway for work, and it was late by the time she finished work. She's actually based in Meath, but she was working in Galway and it was late, so she checked into some hotel and she was woken up during the night by like this entity.
Mhm.
And so she came to me to have it removed. Most of my work wouldn't be like that. Most of my work
Okay.
would be me helping people to bring out the best in themselves, to reclaim their own power or to rise in their own power,
Mm.
by looking at their own energy, and whether it's working with angels or working with guides or working with power animals, whatever works for the person. And sometimes people just come in and they just say, okay, this is my intention, I'm here because I'm being bullied, and I just might have a little chat with them, and then they just lie up on the plinth and I would do a healing on them.
Mm.
So it
So,
does vary, but I do know more and more people are feeling that low vibration, um, which is
oh yeah.
why we have to keep our own energies clear and cleansed as much as possible.
Mm. Mm. And so you do a lot of the one-on-one, we'll say people come to you and you basically show them how to. That's what I like about a lot of the time. It's you're not going and sitting. People aren't coming to you and being fixed and leaving again. It's you. They go to you, and they can leave with the capacity to take better care of themselves.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And
And a
go
lot of the
on, you.
time, even outside of the healing, a lot of the time, our own healing literally only involves
Mm,
changing our mindset or changing tiny little habits in our life, putting
mm,
boundaries in, saying no,
mm,
not getting so caught up with the negative people around us, not getting pulled into the drama, and
mm,
believing in ourselves. So the good thing about with the energy clearing, whether it's Rahanni or, as I said, any of the other stuff, Reiki, is that it gives you the strength that once you take that heaviness off, does give you the strength and the power, the willpower to get up and make
mm,
those changes. And I guess that's the difference. But we have to want to do it. I mean, healing is not something. It's not the same as going in and lying on the plinth for a massage. You have to make little changes in your life also, as well as receive your healing and have your chakras or your energy centers balanced, or your aura smudged or cleansed, or whatever it may be. There's
mm,
work to do once you leave the therapy room.
mm. And then and this is yeah, so this kind of leads me into a question I was thinking about your retreats and how do you so you run like 3 and 4 day retreats or do you run full
Three.
week-long retreats?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Three. It's normally Friday to Sunday.
yeah, yeah. And that's everyone's gathered with you. And what made you decide that you bring these like because if they come to you for one-on-one personal sessions versus it's very different to be in a group of people for 3 or 4 days in a row and how does that change what motivated you to get into that practice.
Well, a few years ago, I ran a program called Activate Your Inner Potential. And the program was based on our chakra system or our energy centers, and
Mm.
which are like tiny little brains throughout the body. We do have 7 main ones, but we have them everywhere.
Oh,
Um, and each one
I've not
holds.
heard them described like that before. That's cool. Little brain.
But they
That's
hold
cool.
so much information because they're formed at different stages of our lives. So the likes of your base chakra, your root chakra, that's formed from, I think it's the second or third trimester, up until 18 months 18 to 24 months. So that's when that one begins to form. And then the one after that then begins to form, you know, from as 18, 24 months on to maybe up to 3, or just before the child hits 4. So each one will hold the information to whatever trauma we're holding. So for example, if something was to happen during birth, well then that root chakra wouldn't form as it should, as in it would hold, it wouldn't be, the foundation for it wouldn't be as strong because of the birth, as I said, if the birth was traumatic. So a lot of the time as adults, we don't realize, you know, which chakra is out of balance, or we don't realize which why we're feeling a certain way. But through delving into our chakras and discovering, okay, well, you know, this happened to me at this age, or that happened to me, and maybe that's why I have no motivation, maybe that's why I feel like I don't belong, maybe that's why I always suffer with headaches, whatever it may be. So I ran that program a good few years ago, and there was a lovely group of people that joined, and when we finished, it was like so the 7 main chakras, and then there's 2 others, so it was a 9-month course, once a month. And when we finished, the group said to me, will you hold a retreat and, you know, bring us all together and we can do some work? So that's how it all came about.
Okay.
I'm dodging the blind here, sorry. So that's how it all started. So they just said, okay, book the place and we'll show up. But I had been doing women's circles in Slieve Aughty before that, with a group of women that I had taught Reiki to. And same thing again, once the training for the Reiki was over, they were like, will you come back and do a women's circle? So then on a monthly basis, then I would do the women's circle there also. So that's how I knew of Slieve Aughty.
Okay, the retreat center, yeah.
Yeah.
And so but you've carried on doing these retreats and these group gatherings. And
Yeah,
what do you
because,
find it? Yeah,
sorry, go
go on.
ahead, Eileen.
That's what I was going to say. Probably you were going to answer. What do you find is different, and what do the retreats create for you?
For me, I get so much out of watching the people walking in on a Friday feeling heavy. They might have walked in from work, or, you know, they've surrendered and decided, set the intention, okay, do you know what, I'm just going to put my life down here, and this weekend is going to be all about me. And to see them go from that almost weary on the Friday, definitely stressed, as most people are nowadays, to feeling alive, to feeling, God, I can't wait to get back out there now on Monday and, you know, grab life and make the most of it and put my boundaries in. And they just have a greater sense of being empowered on the Sunday when they're leaving. And that's what does it for me, because on the Sunday we always ask, okay, how does everybody feel? And to hear the feedback, you know, last week one of the girls says it was the best weekend of her life. So for me, that's where the reward is, you know. It's priceless.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, same thing again, people need to be willing to do it. You know, it's not a weekend where you go and, oh, I'm just going to go for strolls in the forest every weekend and going to eat lovely food. Yes, we do all that, but you also have to be willing to sit with yourself and, you know, get involved and do a breathwork session, or, you know, for the first time this year, we had the sauna and the cold plunge. So that was interesting. And fair play, everybody that was on the retreat did it. They actually pushed themselves to do it. Um, and I was smiling because there was one lady and she was like, "Oh, I really don't want to get into the plunge." I said, "You can do it, you can do it." So she jumped in. She was like, "Okay, I've done it now. I'm out. I'm out." But she got in twice
Mm.
after that, which was amazing, you know. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that people
Well,
are just they're just of a much higher vibration by the time we're leaving, and
mm,
their sense of hope is restored, and that vitality. Um, so yeah, that's the main reason why I do it, to
yeah,
bring that.
because it you come back regularly
Hmm.
to that center for retreats, and I'm like, there's a reason this lady keeps showing up. I need to ask her. Um, and then just maybe as a counter to that, what do you find with retreats to be like? What's the difficulties around it? And is there anything that you've been doing them for a while now? What have you learned, and what are you like?
um, I suppose there's a lot of fear around them because it's not a retreat whereby people are just showing up, being fed, and moving at their
Mm,
own pace. There's a lot of fear around the work that we do because it's not easy to face yourself. It's not easy to sit with yourself. It's not easy to do nothing, to let go of being the mother running around after everybody, or being the carer looking after somebody.
mm,
It can be challenging to just put the phone down and be present. Um, and so because of that, I always find people really want to do it. They want to go. There's always lots of inquiries as to, "Oh, I really want to go. It sounds amazing. What's on?" Because they might see that there's going to be a sauna and they're like, "Oh, that's easy enough."
mm-hmm,
But then I say, "Oh no, it'll be breath work, and there'll be we always do a cacao ceremony, and there'll be meditation and forest bathing, and sometimes, oh, okay, that's the response you get, you know um
mm,
but I think my wish would be that people would just realize that all it basically is just sitting with ourselves when we do this kind of work. It's about surrendering and trusting that we are safe. And that's the one thing I do is I hold a very,
mm,
very um safe space,
mm,
in all ways. Safe as in keeping everybody safe, energetically, and also I do my best to work with integrity also, just to make sure that everybody is, you know behaving the way they should. But being kind to
mm,
one another, most important, which in fairness they are. um
mm,
but yeah, it can be challenged, a challenge sometimes, trying to get that across through an advertisement that, you know yes, this is going to be an amazing weekend, but you have to work. So it's trying to get it across without the fear going with it, that way. But same thing again, I
mm,
suppose when people are ready, they will go and they will face those fears and sit with themselves.
mm. Yeah,
Divine timing and all that.
that's yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really interesting because yeah, there's so many. So I like in say in my sphere of work, there's just a tremendous amount of like people are building up, you know, like where 10 years ago, if you were to post, say, if you were to run an ad for a retreat or even something like an intro webinar for people to like book onto a retreat, an intro
Mm.
series group, like say to get to know you, like you do a free webinar and then you offer them a retreat opportunity. Um, you've got 10 times as many people signing up for the free webinar because the interest is just growing massively. Um, and that's kind of, it does translate once they get, especially once, like when the advent of like Zoom meetings and social media and people being more and more comfortable being online, um, getting a bit more face-to-face contact with someone like you, that fear, like they can be hours away from you or different countries, and like the opportunity to sit and be present with you, whichever, through whatever method it is, it helps to dissipate the fear
Mm-hmm.
even quicker. And I'm like, yeah, not every retreat that people offer is challenging per se, but it's still, I still feel like, even if it is just a weekend of eating like yummy food and getting massages and doing yoga stretches and laying on the beach, it's still an interruption of your life from, your day to
Absolutely,
day,
and don't
you
get
know.
me wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, who wouldn't want one of those weekends?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
But
it is it.
what it comes back to, with as I said, the reason I do it is because I want to help people feel empowered. I want people to
Mm,
reclaim their true sense of self. Because we all have the power to do it. I mean, we are our own healers, and that's
mm,
what I do my best to teach people, is to heal themselves through making changes, through even just, paying attention to nature, the seasons, and to work with the seasons, most importantly. I mean,
mm,
we are the only species that seem to speed up in the wintertime. Already there's Christmas decorations in the shop. Um,
in
eh,
October, yeah,
and it's going to be
September even.
mental for the next few weeks. I mean, nature, she's slowing down. She's like, animals
Mm,
are hibernating. They're storing their food. They've completely slowed down. Nature has slowed
mm,
down, and we, like lunatics, have sped up and will continue to do so until January comes. And then, sure, people wonder, oh, why am I feeling depressed in January? Well, it's an anticlimax, and it's because we're not listening to nature.
mm.
So as I said, we all have the power to reclaim that true essence. It's just a matter of making the changes, which can be uncomfortable, of course. Making change is uncomfortable, but it's the only way we grow.
Yeah. Um, um, yeah, that's it. I was like, I had a question, and I was like, but I was thinking of what you said, and I'm like, yeah. And and it's like that you can, and like, it's true, and you're saying it, and everyone knows it's true, and then even so, the step into changing it it's still the fear is still there,
Yeah, yeah,
even when you're stepping into changing things.
yeah.
And what I wanted to ask you is, and I'm trying, how do I phrase this? When it comes to change, what do you think, what would you like to see change, say, in the world around you or on the planet, or like, as you were talking there about people not really listening to nature, but like, what is it that if you could, like, I don't know, like Aladdin's lamp, if you got three wishes, or you know like you woke up tomorrow morning and you had the power to rule the world, what could you do?
Don't know if I'd want to rule the world.
No, it's enough.
um,
Yeah.
my wish would, well, if I had one wish, I suppose it would be for people to realize that they have everything they need within them. Now, don't get me wrong, I sometimes forget, if I get caught up in something stressful that's going on, or if I get caught up in, if there's something going on with the family or whatever, and sometimes I forget. But,
Mm,
once I feel my stress levels going up, well, then I'm reminded, okay, you need to come back to I need to come back to my heart, I need to ground. So I suppose the if I had one wish, it would be for people to realize that um, the life we are living is not who and what we truly are. That we have everything we need. Um, and if we could only just learn from nature and
Mm,
learn from the seasons and just slow down a little bit, I think things would start to change. But in order for that to happen, people would have to be willing to sit with themselves, and that's the problem. When we go up into the head, we get busy. Like I was even talking to a man yesterday. He's in his 70s, and he said, he's a very wise man. No, he's not into anything that I'm into, in relation to energy or anything. And he says to me, "Oh, when my head starts to go, I just get busy." He says, "I'll get up and I'll potter out the back, or I'll do a job, or I'll go um down to see my sister or one of the family, or and that's where we're going wrong, you see.
mm,
Because I think when the head starts to go and we start to think those thoughts that are making us feel uncomfortable, that's when we need to go, hang on a second. This is trying to show me something. This is, there's a lesson in this. This is trying to teach me. Maybe it's to change something that'll be for the better. Or maybe it's to get me to change my mindset. Um, but you see, we don't stop. We get busy trying to shut the thoughts out.
mm,
Because it's easier to do. So if I had
mm.
one wish, it would be that people would realize that and realize that there's nothing to be afraid of, because it's just themselves, and that's what we're afraid of, is ourselves, you know.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's such it's like, it's such an ironic statement to make. We're afraid of ourselves, you know?
Mm, mm,
It's like, that don't make no sense. And yeah, at the same time,
mm,
it's so true
mm,
in a lot of ways, you know?
mm.
How do you,
Yeah,
could you imagine like a horse or a bird being
yeah,
afraid of themselves?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no.
And
So,
that's the thing, like, if we only just stopped for a few minutes and just watched how nature, um
hmm,
how she lived, even with our own pets. I watch my dog, and nothing phases her. She's, and as with most pets, if we give out to them for doing something, they don't hold a grudge, and then you go to give them a rub a few hours later, they're not going, "No, I'm not rubbing you, I'm not letting you rub me because you gave out to me."
yeah,
A
yeah,
few hours, like, it's just they just move on, completely.
mm,
It's
mm,
unconditional love, so
mm,
and the same with nature. It's, when the trees at the minute, they're losing their leaves, so she's teaching
mm,
us that it's okay to let go. She's not
mm-hmm,
worried. If you look at a big old oak tree, or any tree that's losing its leaves at the minute, um the tree is not worried that, "Oh, will I grow more leaves next year?" She's just turning these beautiful leaves into gorgeous golden and rust and red colors, and then they're falling. So she's
mm,
completely letting go, and she's trusting the process,
mm,
knowing that she
mm.
will be supported next year by nature, you know.
Yeah, that's
So,
really interesting. And I had a question I was about to ask you, which is probably you've just answered. If you had um advice to give to a young new baby retreat leader, as we'll call them, someone who's not got confidence to run their own retreats and they're listening to you talk right now, what would you like to say to them?
oh,
trust the process.
Yes, trust.
Maybe.
Well, I suppose first of all is don't do it for the money. I mean, we obviously we need to make money, but don't let that be
Mm,
your first priority. I think the first priority has to be because you love it, because you love what you want to bring to the table, and
mm-hmm,
get clear on your intention as to why you want to do the retreat, why you want to create the retreat. Is it because
mm-hmm,
you want to make money, or is it because you want to bring some sort of value to people? Um,
mm,
so I would say set the intention first as to why you're doing it or why you want to do it.
mm-hmm,
And once you get clear on your intention, well then yes, 100% trust the process. Trust that everything will be okay as long as you are coming from the heart, I think. Um,
mm,
and yeah, just trust that everything will work all right out okay, as long as you are doing it for the good of whoever your attendees are.
yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
You know, as opposed to, oh,
Yeah.
I'm doing this retreat just for me. You have to have the people that are going to go, the participants, you have to have their interests at heart. That has to be
Mm,
number one. It can't be about you, the retreat leader. It has to be about, the people that you're hoping to sell tickets to, that you're going to provide a service that they're going to love, not half arse
mm,
service. You show up and give it your best. And if you're willing to give it your best and work from the heart, well, then you have to trust the process, and
mm.
everything will be okay.
That's really
But do
cool.
but do do
Yeah.
your do your do the maths also, because you do. You don't want to be working out of your own pocket either. You don't want it to cost you money. So do the maths, but you have to provide the quality,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
is which is
The
important.
the inspiration for the retreat as yeah. That's what yeah. And then it'll work out.
Yeah, I think you see all of this. I often think all of this is once you make that decision to do it, it's already written. It's written in the stars. It has happened already. You know,
Mm,
um, and so sometimes we get so caught up in our head thinking, oh, what if it doesn't work, and what if this, and what if that, and as I said, if you set the intention that you want to do your best for the people that are going to show up, it'll work. But just do the math, make sure you're covered on your expenses. And
mm,
um, as I said, you just set the intention for even the type of people that you want to show up. Get
okay.
clear, get your intention clear before you announce it, as to um, the type of people that you want to
Who
show, the type of service you want to bring. Are you only doing it because you want to make money, or are you doing it because you really want to bring value to people's lives? And if you're doing it
mm,
because you want to bring value to people's lives, it'll work. 100% it'll work.
mm,
As long as your intention is clear.
yeah. Yeah. That's yeah. That's so
And
true.
then and then also you see it depends on the venue as well, and it's not that easy getting a nice venue, but it depends on what the retreat is about. Like some people like having retreats in hotels and stuff. They're not my cup of tea now. The corporate hotels or the big hotels wouldn't be my cup of tea. I like the
Mm,
the forest retreats and that kind of stuff. Um, but as I
but that's
said,
yeah.
I think if
Yeah.
you show up in your truth and wouldn't bring um your worth and value your work, I think it's just a matter of trusting the process.
Wow. Yeah. And
Which is
and
not easy to
obviously.
do when you have people cancelling on you, and it's like, oh my god. but you have to
Yeah.
you have to let go because you can't control everything, and
Yeah.
you just have to trust. And but if you feel the call to run a retreat, definitely go for it, do it.
Mm.
um
Yeah, that's been working for you so far.
so far so good. Yeah, well, I've held one or two. Sometimes I hold one in the spring, and then I hold one in
Mm.
autumn as well. I didn't hold one in the spring this year because I was away, but the last few years, with the exception of this year, I've held two each year.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, I do it because I love it. That's the only reason why I do it.
Mm. And do you find you have to do a lot of like work in advertising and marketing and promoting, or do you just kind of set the date and do a little bit and it shows up? Or
Um, this year I took out an ad on Facebook and Instagram. Actually, I think I might have even took two ads, two separate times. Um,
Hmm, interesting.
but I'm trying to think. There was 7 people on the retreat, and I think the ads brought in two of those people. The other people knew me
Mm.
or were clients or had been following me on social media. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the retreat, the work that goes into it is it's it's work. It's
Yeah.
definitely work. Because
Mm.
I always provide like a goodie bag, and I try to create a goodie bag that will accompany the healing that we're doing over the weekend. So
Mm.
this time round, we had like a mug for their cacao. There was like de-stress incense, um, like key rings with positive quotes on them. And then
Little details, yeah. Not
yeah,
little, they're
just
not that little. They're
it's
they're
just
kind of
trying to think
hot,
of
yeah.
you know I suppose I always try to think, okay, well, what can I give somebody that they use as opposed to just throwing it in a drawer.
Mm.
Um, so
Wow.
gathering all that kind of stuff together, and then just making sure that the bedrooms are sorted, and trying to pair
Mm.
people with other people, and hoping that they'll get along.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
um, but
Oh,
yeah, I mean, there's a good bit of work. There's definitely a good bit of work on the lead up.
mm.
But in relation to selling the tickets this time, as I said, this time round, I ran two ads. Um, I didn't do
And
that in the
I
past.
yeah. And so just out of curiosity, would you run ads again for retreat if it was a new, because ads are kind of new in some ways. Would they, do you think it was a helpful tool or?
Um, I wouldn't run it on Instagram again because there was like nothing in it. I don't know what the
Mm.
algorithm is for Instagram or what way that works, but nothing. I got absolutely nothing off Instagram. Like maybe one or two likes on the page. That's about it. Whereas I
Mm.
got a lot of likes on the Facebook ad, and I got two
Hmm.
participants from the
Interesting.
Facebook ad.
Yeah.
So I would
Yeah.
do the Facebook
Uh,
again, definitely.
they depending on how you set it up, they run automatically on both platforms.
Mm.
So I don't know if it would be of any cost or if there's any choice. I think it's just something Facebook, like Meta
You
themselves
can choose. You
choose.
can't,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
when I realized I wasn't getting anything from Instagram, the second
You should have.
time
Yeah.
I ran the ad, I there's a little box you can tick. Do you want it to run on Instagram? And I said no. So
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
and you see, I think then it pushed it to more people on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, it'll probably still push it to the same amount of people. That would
Okay.
be it. Just when you say no to when you say no to Instagram, it just won't find anyone on Instagram for you. But it's already doing as much as it can to find people on Facebook.
Yeah.
Um, and like something with a budget, like you you people say, oh, you need to have €1,000 of a budget. You don't. You can often waste a lot of like views. You can have 30,000 views and have zero people sign up, or you can
Yeah.
have 2,000 views.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about your targeting and who you're speaking to.
Mm-hmm.
But so like a small budget of $10 or $20 a day can do as much work as €1,000 in a month can do when
Yeah.
it comes to that. It does it, but it does. I mean, it turning it off gives you more information, like it gives you more data. You're like it runs effective on Facebook, and there's the complexities of the ads. But I just found that very interesting because in like off the top of my head, without doing any data research, I would have thought Facebook, or rather Instagram, would be a very popular channel for you. And
Mm.
there you go. It hasn't,
Yeah,
it wasn't at all.
I was more than surprised now. I really was. But as I
Mm,
said, I think Instagram, I think I might have got 2 page likes from the ad.
yeah. And
Whereas
was it
there was a lot more on Facebook.
Well, how did you run the ad? Was it were you promoting the retreat with a link to the page to purchase the retreat? Like or how were you running your
Uh,
ad?
I actually can't remember.
Okay.
I can't remember, but nothing
Right.
like even on the post itself.
Mm.
I think there was probably a handful of likes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
on
That's very
Instagram,
low.
whereas it was high enough on Facebook.
I'd say possibly um there might be a lot of competition on Instagram for that like therapies and therapists and stuff like
Mm,
that. And there's maybe less competition on Facebook.
mm-hmm,
That would be if I just a surface level thought of it. It just and this is the clever thing about it. Sometimes it's going in the opposite direction because everyone was like, oh, Instagram, that's where everyone, all the coaches are and all the people
mm,
healers are, and the reels and the posts and the content and the likes
mm.
and the stories, and nobody's on Facebook anymore. But you can prove your data says something different.
Yes,
Facebook is
exactly.
where the
Yeah.
people that the people that are looking for it,
Mm.
that's where they are, whereas the people that are looking to share are on Instagram. But that's the fascinating world of social media
Yeah,
marketing.
but it does change. I think,
Mm,
it's like
yeah.
sometimes there'll be nothing at all happening on Facebook, and then like Instagram could be really, really busy, you
Mm,
know.
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know why it
Yeah.
happens, but it does.
It does, it happens, and they're like yeah, being on top of it is all you can. But like that's something, it's yeah, you're like you really are on top of all the aspects of the business, and you're
Oh, bring
you're
back the golden
managing.
pages, so.
Yeah, in a way, maybe. Yeah.
I mean,
It
don't get
gives
me wrong, it's brilliant. Social media is brilliant, but there's a
it's
lot of,
intrusive. It's very
yeah, and
intrusive. Yeah.
there's a lot of fake stuff on it as well, and
Mm.
one thing I hear all the time is, oh, I done a sound bath with such and such, and oh, he or she had like 30,000 followers on Instagram, and I wouldn't mind, the sound bath was no good. And I'm like, you see, people we're being judged by the
Yeah.
photographs, and it's not that
Yeah.
hard to do a nice photograph. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
again,
But
it just goes to show you the importance of discernment, when we
mm,
are choosing to go to these um
the
holistic
what you're yeah.
treatments, or whatever they are.
Yeah. And
Um,
when you're putting yourself out as a say as a retreat or a coach or a healer, putting yourself out there, it will get caught. You will get found out, as we say.
mm.
It will come out, you know.
And
You can't.
especially in my line of work, like I always say, well, spirit
Mm.
sees everything. There's no hiding from spirit. You know,
No.
the energy
Yeah.
catches up with you eventually. If you put
Mm.
the not so nice stuff out there, it will come back. And that's why I say, whether it's a retreat, somebody is thinking of doing, or whether it's anything in relation to the business, just, be honest and do it from your
Mm,
heart, because you can't go wrong, I think, if you work that way,
yeah.
Not always
Yeah.
easy to do the right thing, though. I just say to my
Yeah.
students, do what's right, not what's easy. But it's sometimes
Yeah.
that can be challenging as well. But I think if we could all get a little bit better at doing what's right and not what's easy, I think our lives eventually,
It
um,
will get it gets easier. Like that's, yeah, doing the right thing gets easier and makes life easier.
yeah,
Like it's not about what's easy. That
yeah,
makes it harder in the long
yeah.
run. But yeah, you know, um, we've been, I think we've been going for about an hour, madam. Is there any, have you any last things you want to say? Last bits of tidbits of advice or anything sitting in your head? Advice for people.
Um, no, just I suppose the one bit of the one thing that I constantly um I do my best to do it all the time, but especially if there's a retreat, if I'm holding a retreat or some sort of an event coming up,
Mm,
for a good few weeks beforehand, I do my best to either meditate or to walk in nature every single day, because what that does is it keeps you grounded. And if we're
mm,
grounded going in to host or hold a retreat or hold a workshop, well, then we just handle things a little bit better and we bring a better version of ourselves forward.
mm.
Um, so it's really important. I mean, we should be doing it anyway. That's the life we should be living, but
Yeah. I was
sometimes
gonna
life
say
gets in the way.
you should be doing it. What's the proverb or the phrase or the saying? I don't know. Meditate for a half an hour, 30 minutes every day, unless you're busy, then meditate for an hour.
Yeah,
That should apply to everybody, but I think especially for like business owners in general, you're kind of it's all on you, and you're kind of you think you should just keep going and keep going and keep going, and that's good too. That helps, like getting the work done, but at the same time, don't neglect yourself, because then
absolutely,
you're
absolutely.
no
And
good to your clients.
we again, that's when it comes back to the self-love, and people seem to think, oh, well, I have to show up and I have to show up, and yes, we do, but there's no point in us showing up at a cost and plodding on when we're struggling ourselves, because then we're no good to anybody. We're not even any good to the family around us then at that stage. You can't pour from an empty cup. So it's about finding the balance of
Mm,
that work-life balance of, okay, I'm going to work hard and I'm going to show up in the best version of myself, and I'm going to bring this work to other people, but I also have to take the time out and look after myself. You see, it's
mm,
it's, it's the world in which we live in at the minute is just so fast, and it's a constant rush, because we have bills coming in, and um we want to get ahead, and then like that social media kind of puts the pressure on us to make us feel like we should be doing a bit more than what we are. But it is very important to find that balance, between topping up our own cup and allowing ourselves even to go on a retreat and let somebody else hold space for us, or go for a healing, or
mm,
you know um so yeah, it's balance, isn't it? It comes back down to balance and looking after ourselves, and um because we can't give what we don't have ourselves. So
mm. Yeah, that's it. And that's really like we're coming to the end of the year and winter. Um, um, really, people do need to start looking after themselves for
I just
this
say
period.
take if we could take our meds, MEDS, M for
Okay.
meditate,
Uh-huh.
E for exercise. D for diet, be mindful of our diet. I'm not saying we have to live on rabbit food, but I mean, if we could just even be mindful about what we're eating.
Mm-hmm.
And S for our spirituality. Spirituality can be anything from, you know, tuning into the vibration of nature. It can be, um, you know, having the chats with our higher self or with our guides, or it can be just living that kind life, or it can be going to mass. Mass wouldn't be my cup of tea now, but whatever suits, and
Mm.
whatever works for the person, because that's what we are. We are spirit living a human life. We're not humans living a spiritual life. So it's a matter of honoring that.
Mm.
I have you thinking there.
Yeah, yeah. That's like the meds. Take your meds. That's a really good one. I love that. Um, So if someone wanted to contact you, Natasha, or follow you and listen to you talking, listen to everything you have to say more often, where would they find you? Do you have a website or Facebook?
I do have a website because I also make candles.
Oh wow.
And I make like sacred sprays and essential oils and all that kind of stuff as well. Um, or should I say oil blends? I don't make the oils. So the website is Mother Nature's Gems, and there's
Okay.
also a section on the website that shows where any events that are on, where you can purchase your ticket. But on social media, it's Sacred Gatherings Ireland.
Well,
So
I should be able to link all those wherever in the video, above or below, whatever
don't
description.
worry if you
I'll
can't.
get your I'll get the links for them for people to come and find you and ask you to knock the fear out of them. Um, I like that. That's good. I encourage everybody to check out Natasha and see what she has to say and keep up with her um on social media for whatever's left of it before we all abandon social media and go back to the woods. Um, that's it. All right.
Eileen, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And as always, lovely to chat with you and lovely to see your smiling face. So thank you.
Thank you for coming, Natasha. We'll talk
More than
soon.
welcome.